Right, time for a bit of therapy. Spurs lose the North London derby 2-1. We deserved it. I was at the game yesterday. I've watched it back and I've got thoughts on what went wrong for Spurs and why we lost it. Individual mistakes, same problems week in, week out. It's really hard to break down and analyse these games properly at the moment with the lack of depth, the lack of the players available that we have got, and how key they are to executing Ange's style of play in the way that we want to. Look, we're also going to talk about the news today that Spurs have come out and backed Ange Postecoglou. All the journalists and the aggregators coming out saying that he retains full support of the board. There is an acknowledgement that things need to turn around, but also a very big acknowledgement of the situation that we find ourselves in. And look, my position on Ange is still quite clear. I don't want him to be sacked. If you guys do, if anyone does in the comments, that's absolutely fine. Again, I'm not trying to convince you that he is the right guy, but I think there'll be a lot of stuff last night that he wouldn't be happy with, and he said so much himself after the game. Arsenal deserved it. Arsenal absolutely deserved it. They stood up to the occasion. We didn't. I don't think we've got the bottle or heart or spirit for these kind of games. Certain players certainly don't anyway, and I think the players that do are the young kids. Archie Gray and Bergvall show more application, fight, desire, hunger than most of our experienced players. I'll give Dom Solanke and Kulusevski a pass in this because they were really poor and ineffective, but they've been run into the ground. And I think many of these players have as well. Pat Matasar, who I thought was actually more at fault for the second goal than people are going to make out. And I think let's start there, right? Let's start there. So actually, let's start from the start. Let's go back all the way through and talk about these bits through from chronological order, because from moment one that we're going to talk about here, similar problems in terms of our defending. Make sure to like and subscribe, guys, by the way, if you are new. And sorry if I feel a bit deflated. It just takes a lot out of you, these kind of games. I was there last night. I've tried to record this video like 3 times. I was recording for about 20 minutes and realised that my microphone actually wasn't on one of the scenes that I'd set up on here, which was fantastic. And it's hard to talk about these games because as much as you can sit here and try and tactically break it down, losing to Arsenal is it's an emotional thing. You don't want to lose to them lot, and it hurts. 2-1 or 5-1, right? It should have been 5-1. Should have been 4-5-1. They deserved to batter us, and we were just not good enough. But back post here, similar issues. Odegaard, how many times have we been in this position where Porro's got 2 men behind him at the back post? I know you want to leave a man up in case you win the ball over and can run at them, absolutely. But Rice is able to take a touch, bring it down. Good last-ditch defending from Gray and Dragusin and Bergvall there. Bergvall, I think when Romero and Van der Ven come back, I think you've got to give him and Gray the keys to that midfield. Gray, Spence, Bergvall for me were the 3 players that can hold their heads high after last night. Absolutely. I always thought that Spence was maybe going to struggle a little bit more against Sterling because of the fact that Sterling's got that ability to kind of go either way and go round him. But for the most part, defensively, I thought it was really good. Bergvall, it's him nipping in there, winning the ball back, being physically imposing himself on Arsenal's midfield that bullied and dominated Sarr and Basuma. But Bergvall in there, they've got physical players all over the pitch that are going to impose themselves on and off the ball, Arsenal, and their press is aggressive without being too gung-ho, I'd say. Their counter-press, their ability to win the ball back in these kind of situations, but Bergvall is in there on timber, and Spence runs. It's a brilliant cross, and Solanke nearly scores. It's a brilliant tackle from Gabriel, and I think Gabriel, they're obviously, him and Saliba are obviously quality centre-halves. I thought Gabriel was better, actually, than Saliba last night, and Gabriel, I think, maybe is better than Saliba, but you think about that leadership that Gabriel has got, his ability to impose himself when... And this is what was one of the things, like, I watched the game back, I didn't watch it on TNT, and thank God I didn't, because a lot of people were moaning about the TNT commentary. There was a lot of lazy analysis about Tottenham, and I've said this so many times, but people wanted us to just kick it long, rather than playing out from the back, because we made a couple of mistakes playing out. Go and play it long into Gabriel and Saliba, and they're going to win the knockdowns anyway, and then just pile the pressure on us that way. So, Gabriel just... in his box on the halfway line, in our box, in both boxes, just a monster. And Spurs just can't compete with stuff like that. We can't. Not with Romero and Van der Ven. No way. But he does well there. Spence, this is one thing that really irritates me about the second goal, is that Basuma sees what Spence can do here and can drive with it, and he doesn't want to give it to him. Obviously, Kulusevski has this chance here. One thing that irritated me about the second goal as well, and James Alcott highlighted this well in his video, is that so much of the blame was pinned on Radu Dragusin, but if you've got Pat Matasar willing to make this bursting, underlapping run to win the corner that leads to our goal, as you can see here, get away from Lewis Skelly and in between him and Partey, but not do it tracking back for our goal, and so much of the blame was pinned on Radu Dragusin, doesn't make sense to me. And I think that's why Ange Postecoglou probably hooked Sarr at half-time, and also the fact that he was on a booking, and hooked Basuma because he wasn't giving us anywhere near enough control. Look at the possession stats. We had less in the first half. We had less overall in the game. We had 37% possession in the first half. One big chance each, but we had 56 in the second. And I think that's because Bergvall and Maddison gave us that little bit more control in there, and Kulusevski more control. That's why we're not able to impose ourselves a lot of the time, because we don't have enough control in games. We can see too many big chances, too many high XG chances to the other team. They then sit in and we can't break them down. That's why we lose games by the odd goal, and we lose every single game we lose it on XG as well, because we're not able to create the quality of chances. There have been games, yeah, definitely, that we've lost that we've deserved to get more from. Last night wasn't one of them, but you know, this is more chat for the second goal. But the first goal, look, I don't think there's much we can do about that. You can moan about the corner. These things happen. Gabriel gets away from Dragusin, but Gabriel does this to every other defence. Look, you can moan about it from a Spurs perspective, but nothing new learnt there, really, from Arsenal or Spurs' perspective. Here, look at Odegaard conducting that press for Arsenal. Arsenal were quite aggressive in how they pressed us with Timber and Lewis Skelly coming right on when we were trying to play out. But here, they know that Spurs have committed. This is how we build up, that sort of 2-3-5 shape. Obviously, Basuma is a little bit further forward here, but he is the pass that's on for that midfielder. Spence gets it out on the left here, uses Basuma. Basuma has got to play that back to him. Odegaard kind of tells that Arsenal backline to settle, because obviously Spurs have committed and thinks we can win this ball back, because Basuma here, unless he plays that ball first time back to Jed Spence, He's not turning back inside. He can't turn back inside. He can't, because he's going to lose the ball. What does he do? Turns back inside and loses the ball. Unbelievably brain-dead decision-making from a player that I've actually defended quite a lot, Basuma, because I think playing that 6 role is hard, especially off the ball in this system. I don't think he gets much help, and I think sometimes he puts in these monstrous performances. Last night was not one of them. But here, brain-dead decision-making. Pop that back off to Spence. He's gone. He's away from Sterling. That pass is on. Get your head up. You're good at playing in tight spaces. Comes back inside. It's a poor touch anyway. And look, Basuma has got the physical strength to get away from Partey there. He has. But it's such a low percentage option and such a high risk option there. Just find it crazy. And Spurs turn it over. And so much of the chatter was about Dragusin not going out to Trossard. Sarr here for me does not do enough. Does not do enough. Porro, we know. Look at the positioning of Porro, Bergvall and Kulusevski there. They're obviously pinning those. They want to pin the fullbacks back. They want to pin that DM back in Rice. They want to get up the pitch and make themselves impose on the game and actually want to be able to affect it. And if we can play out, Spurs are in a good position there. But the much better option is playing to Spence. Sarr showed that lung-busting run for the first goal. And here, the lack of awareness to go out to Trossard just lets him run into the box. I don't understand people blaming this on Dragusin. I really don't. Porro's never going to get back, and that's a system thing. That's not an effort or application or desire thing from Porro. Sarr there has got to close that space. He's just running a straight line back into the box, and then it's a half-assed attempt to block the shot. I find that bonkers. And then the second half as well, free header in between the defenders and players overloading the back post and getting ourselves into trouble, and Bergvall bailing us out there. But I know this is more of a kind of an emotional reaction from the game, because it's tough to take. It is really tough to take. And I don't think there's much you can actually break down from this game other than the fact that we were the worst side and Arsenal deserved to win. And the same old problems are costing us. But I think just that Basuma moment there, I think just encapsulates the brain-dead decision-making that you can have at times. And like as a number 6, as Spurs' number 6, you're supposed to... Your back's to play there. But for me, you're supposed to have these patterns of play ingrained in your mind as that 6. You have to be so aware in the moment of the things that are going on outside of this triangle of you, Spence, Odegaard and Sterling. Like, you know Sarr or Bergvall aren't necessarily going to be there for the pass if you turn back inside. They're not going to be there. You're the single pivot. You're the number 6. Like, Bergvall and Spence, whether that's rightly or wrongly, and whether you think Ange should be that aggressive or not, that's a fair debate to have. But Basuma there in this moment, why turn back inside? Why do it? Such a low percentage option when you've got Odegaard, who's such a brilliant presser, who's basically conducted this situation himself when you go back, telling them to go back, we've got this. And he nips, and he's got it's just, I find it just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So frustrating. I don't know where those have gone there. Anyway, we'll leave the screenshots. And yeah, Spurs are 13th. We've got a plus 11 goal difference. West Ham have got a minus 14 goal difference, but they're 2 points above us. We just can't kind of stick in these games, can't hold on to leads, give up 2 big chances. We need Romero and Van de Ven back ASAP to be able to have some sort of control in the game and pin teams back in their half. We need to start going and hold. There's so much stuff that needs to change at Spurs. And like today, them coming out and saying we're getting every Ange Postecoglou is, the guy that we're backing and we're making sure that he has all the support around him and all this kind of stuff. Show it then. What are we seeing? We're 16 days into a transfer window and we've been linked with one player who's gone to Juventus. And look, I don't think that... I like Kolo Muani. I don't necessarily think he was the answer. But there's no one else. We've not been linked with anybody else. It's just negligence. We just did not do enough to build the squad in the summer. We're not doing anything to rectify it in January so far. We need fullbacks. We maybe need a centre-half. I'm not so sold on the centre-half thing with Romero and Van de Ven coming back soon. We need an attacker. Solanke looks absolutely shot to bits. Kulusevski looks shot to bits at the moment because of the effort and application they are putting in there, running themselves into the ground. It's just absolutely crazy. Like, how are they backing Ange? How are they doing it? If you think that Ange should be sacked, that's fine. We might as well sack him if we're not going to give him the tools that he needs. And look, January, you can panic buy in January. You absolutely can. And I don't want Spurs to do that. I don't want to go and sign wrong profiles. And I totally get that. But it's obvious that they need help. Like, it's obvious that this squad needs help. This manager needs help. And at the moment, we're kind of just banking on the fact that everything's going to be okay when those players come back. And that's not necessarily guaranteed. It's really... We're looking over our shoulders at the moment. It's baffling to get your head around, like I said, when you see that goal difference and you see the form. We're 18th in the form table over the last 9 games. We're in relegation form and we could find ourselves in a relegation battle. It's honestly bewildering. I don't know. Like I said, apologies, this hasn't been the most in-depth tactical breakdown, but I'm just so frustrated with Tottenham. I'm really so frustrated with how we're acting. Because like I said, they might as well just get rid of him. They might as well get rid of Ange if they're not going to kind of show him the support that he needs right now. It's absolutely crazy. And yeah, Graham Bergvall for me, when Romero and Van de Ven come back, give him the keys to this midfield. I'm sick of seeing Basuma make those mistakes. I'd rather Bergvall and Gray in there and go full send on Project Youth and trust them because they showed up last night and a lot of other players didn't. Sonny didn't show up. Brennan Johnson's substitute appearance I thought was woeful. Didn't get into the game at all. Need another winger desperately. Need a different winger profile. I've stuck up for Johnson a lot, but last night I thought was pretty unacceptable. Maddison as well. Like I thought Maddison was improved the technical quality of the team and raised the technical floor. But I thought a lot of the time he was hiding. Bergvall was the one. Again, give me the ball. Maddison maybe drifting into pockets. Just so much has gone wrong at Spurs this season, and so much of it is out of Ange's control. So a lot of it he has to take responsibility for as well, including lack of game management and all that kind of stuff. But these players are just doing my head in, quite frankly. That's where I'm going to leave it today. Make sure to get involved in the comments. I'm just so fed up with this. So fed up. Get involved in the comments, like the video, subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you in the next one. Up the Spurs.